Hello, Janice. Where can I park my bike?
Bung it over there,
Okay.
will you? What the heck are you doing?
Well, I'm hot foot, as we say, or hot pedal from a quick whiz round North America and Norway. Not too different.
Can I just ask you if the long hair is the American influence, by the way? Because
No.
I've never seen your hair so long.
No, it's not actually long, is it? It's just the
It is for you.
I washed it this morning. I can't do a thing with it. No, I haven't been out to see my barber. My barber's this little Greek geezer in Harrow Road, and I won't go anywhere else. I go there and I give him his $2.50. He cuts me hair and lets me watch the TV.
So is this because you've been jet setting?
Yeah, sort of, yeah. I would admit to have been on 3 aeroplanes in the last month, yes. I suppose that counts me as a jet setter, yes. I suppose I have been a bit jet setting, yes. Which has done me no good at all, because I've had a cold all the time, and every time we go up in the air, all my ears go funny.
Oh, that's horrible, though.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, it's the worst part about flying out in the meals.
Squeak.
Yeah.
And all you can hear inside your head is...
Yes. Well, we won't work out exactly why that happens, but... Well, I'm here to replace Mr. Walters. He's having a week off, so
Getting his head together, man.
Yes, getting his hair together in the country, apparently. And they've sent me down here to do his weekly, or whatever that means. So
Well,
what I've done is I've brought some records down.
Good.
Janice,
Good.
and
Sorry for interrupting you.
No, interrupt away, I don't mind.
I was just going to say, what's America like?
There's lots of snow. Just been on a tour of places where it's snowing. It's been really interesting. It was -2 degrees Fahrenheit when I was in New York, which is about -40 centigrade, I think. And it was, I mean, that's really, really cold. And it wasn't just sort of like chilly. It was, you know, really freeze your fingertips off weather. And then we went north from there on. So that's how I got the cold in the first place. But it didn't stop me doing my favourite thing in America, which is the Americans... You know, take them or leave them, but they are very, very good at certain things, and one of the things they're good at is shopping. They're great at shopping. In America, they have these huge supermarkets called Kmart, and all American life is there. The entire American dream is down aisle 41 or 42, beside the plastic dinosaurs and everything else you can get. So I spend a lot of time at truck stops as well, 76 truck stops. They're the name of a firm of truck stops, and you just go in there and spend your dead presidents, as they call them. That's what they call their money. Call them dead presidents. And just buy plastic dinosaurs and really cheap, horrible cut-out glossy magazines. They have these newspapers over there called... one of them's called the National Enquirer. And the entire paper is made up of fictitious stories, like John F. Kennedy is alive and well and living in a Swiss clinic, totally irreparably brain damaged, but they're all the same, and things like I was impregnated by a yeti from outer space and stuff like that. It's great reading. It's true, honestly. This is really the truth. It's kind of just like the sun, really.
Actually, Steve Wright features lots of stories from the National Enquirer.
Does he? That's where he gets all that rubbish from. Now I know. Now I know.
But you said plastic dinosaurs. I mean, does that sum up the States? Is it very plastic?
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, unfortunately, the Americans have this kind of quantity over quality vibe about them, where everything is down to how it looks and not really what its content is. But that makes all the shopping all the more interesting. You know, I find the food a bit difficult to contend with because it tends to be a bit samey.
Yeah.
But when you're eating hamburgers all the time, I don't suppose that makes any difference. So, you find yourself like, I can't make tea for toffees. You really can't. You can't get a decent cup of tea. In Canada, you can get a decent cup of tea, but in America you can't. But they make up for it by making really nice coffee. So I drank a lot of coffee, which made me jangly a lot. And also my favourite pastime, which is undoubtedly looking around guitar shops and record shops, which America is just great for, because American record shops, average American record shops, have a lot of domestic releases that just aren't available in the UK, really cheap. So I found myself spending a couple of days off I had hunting down. They took me to the best record shop in New York, which is called Bleecker Bob's. And when I got to it, it was really boring because it was full of English imports. But they thought it was great.
I was just going to say
wow, it's a really good shop. But I thought, oh, this is really boring.
When I went over to interview Chrissie Hynde, and I went to this big record shop in Greenwich Village, and I wanted to get some presents for Peely. And I went into the guy and I said, look, I'm British, and I work for a radio station. What have you got that's like really, really new and different that we won't have at home? And he said, oh, I think you'll like this. This is China Crisis, and this is Duran Duran.
Know,
How we get those?
All really and they're all picture discs and stuff like that, and really weird. There are some wacky things. You can actually get Meet His Murder over there with How Soon Is Now on it.
Oh,
which is
because it's not on the album.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you can, things like that you can pick up domestically. You see in the US, and they do have some great little labels over there, small labels who are doing reissues and stuff like that, which are among of which is Rhino Records, who are based in Pico Boulevard in Los Angeles, and it's Rhino Records. It's the first track we're going to play. I managed to track this one down in Rhino Records' actual store, and what it is, it's a Monkeys picture disc album called Monkey Business, which someone somewhere has got the Monkeys catalogue and put all the really obscure stuff, which is not difficult when you're the Monkeys to have a lot of obscure tracks. And this one I thought would be nice to play on your show, Janice, just for your listeners' dilection. He's called Tema de Monkeys. I know my Italian isn't very good, but it's the Monkeys theme in Italian.
Passiamo noi e la gente ci guarda ed amico un po'. Ci chiamano i Monkeys, siamo meno matti di chi si crede più intelligente di noi che la pensiamo così. Comunque parliamo, non è giusto mai, c'è sempre qualcuno che ne sa più di noi. Ecco qua, passiamo noi e la gente ci guarda ed amico un po'. Ci chiamano i Monkeys, siamo meno matti di chi si crede più intelligente di noi che la pensiamo così. Comunque parliamo, non è giusto mai, c'è sempre qualcuno che ne sa più di noi. Ecco qua, passiamo noi e la gente ci guarda ed amico un po'. Ci chiamano i Monkeys, siamo meno matti di chi si crede più intelligente di noi che la pensiamo così. Comunque parliamo, non è giusto mai, c'è sempre qualcuno che ne sa più di noi. Ci chiamano i Monkeys, siamo meno matti di chi si crede più intelligente e noi che la pensiamo così. Ci chiamano i Monkeys, ci chiamano i Monkeys.
Tetama de Monkey. Yeah, that's the Monkeys. You'll have to excuse the quality of that, listeners at home. One, it is a picture. This is a fabulous picture of them all in caftans on it. Zero street credibility there. But also, that wasn't the record jumping. It wasn't Janice leaping around or me riding my bike again. What it was, in fact, was a really dodgy edit to save Mickey DeLenz learning another verse in Italian. See, apparently there was a law in Italy that there's something to do with Italian language shows, that they couldn't show more than that many Italian language shows, so they had to dub the entire show into Italian, and including the title. It's a well wacky record, isn't it?
It really looks as though they've got those old-fashioned tablecloths on, doesn't it?
It does look like Mickey DeLenz does look like he's wearing a tablecloth, but then didn't he always look like he was wearing a tablecloth? I'm afraid to tell
I used to have a real crush on, is it Peter Talk, that one, the blonde one?
Yeah, Peter Talk. You know, Mike Nesmith now is the executive producer of Repo Man.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. He made some
Didn't
great
he
country
do,
albums as well.
What's that one with all the kids? Bugsy Malone or
Did he?
something? I think so, yeah.
No, that was Mickey DeLenz, I think. Or it may be even Davy Jones. I don't know.
What did I know?
Oh, was it
Never mind, we're
Ringo?
getting
It was
very
Ringo,
confused.
wasn't it? Yeah. Confusing me, Jones.
So what else did you do apart from buying records and plastic
I played
dinosaurs?
Trivial Pursuit with Joey Ramone.
Oh, what was
in
he
New
like?
York. What was he like?
Yeah.
Oh, he was good. I mean, if you know, he was like Joey Ramone. He sort of said hello, hello, like that. And not surprisingly, I won. Well, the team I was with won the Trivial Pursuit game with Joey. So, but I think that was quite pleased to meet him. I've always been one of my heroes. I actually went to see him the other night at the Lyceum. They were great. You know, still fast and still loud.
Trivial Pursuit, do they just have one version, or do they have an American version as well?
No, they have their American version. It was the film star one, and it's all American film star questions. But unfortunately, they were letting me read out the the questions, and I was making them up, things like, you know, who played the lead in the Lassie movie? Lassie never wore a lead, and stuff like that. And so, consequently, there's no way they could have won. But I mean, it was American Trivial Pursuit, so the least I could do was cheat.
Actually, I think some of those questions are like really, really obscure, especially when they get to the artist.
Well, that's why it's called Trivial Pursuit, Janice.
Yes, I know.
I mean, that's the whole point of it. If it was easy.
When it gets to that stage where nobody can answer any question, you know, sometimes there's like 2 rounds where nobody can answer any of them.
My friends always managed to answer them.
Oh, well, all right, I hang around with real thickies. Actually, I did manage to win. I won.
Well, there you go, there you go.
I got 4 cheeses before we get... Well, that's what we call them, you know, the little triangle things.
I don't know what they're called either. I thought they were bits
like
of a lemon.
Dairy.
They do, don't they? Yeah. They do, don't they? The Trivial Pursuit, folks, if you do manage to get a copy, it's hours and hours of happiness and obscure fun.
But mind you, some people get really nasty, don't they? They get... You know, sort of...
Yeah,
don't like
they
the
do,
idea
don't
of
they?
you
That's
winning
right,
or whatever.
Yeah. But not Joe Ramone, he was ever so pleasant.
What about the Americans? What sort of impression have they got of the Brits?
Well, they have a very... not a warped view, because I don't really have much view at all. I mean, while I was over there, I was looking in the big heavyweight American papers to try and find out what was happening in the miners' strike and stuff, and there's just absolutely nothing about it. They've to some extent, I suppose, what happens outside of America doesn't affect it so much as like what happens outside of England. But they just didn't have any interest at all, apart from what was happening within the Union. And while I was over there, while I was in New York, on a very frosty Monday morning, President Reagan was inaugurated, and he gave a State of the Nation speech, which talked about how safe Europe and the world feels with America, you know, with America policing the world. That I personally found quite, well, not scary, but quite a bit patronising, really. That he obviously, you know, was trying to gloss over the fact that there are huge peace movements in Europe that are not specifically anti-American, but are certainly anti-Pentagon and anti-Reagan administration. But they don't seem to take any of this into account. I think anybody who differs from the excuse me, the party line is a raving communist.
Yes.
You know, there's no deviation from what they call the American dream at all. Anybody outside of that is a pinko red and deserves to be stamped on. Which is a pity. A little bit of toleration.
Do they look upon us as a satellite state?
I think they do. Yeah, I think they look at the whole of Europe as a satellite state, and to some aspects, I think we are being led that way. I mean, the way that they just put up the interest rates in America and down goes the pound, just goes to show how it doesn't matter what we do in our foreign policy. What America does in the end. Is going to affect our lives at home. And I tried to explain to some of the audiences while I was doing the gigs that when they elect a president, they elect a president for us too.
Yes.
Maybe they should take that into account a little bit more. You know, it's not something that maybe they should enter into quite so lightly. I'm
surprised there were any Americans there, actually, because they all seem to be here at the moment, the way the pound and the dollar is.
Yeah, because of the pound, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it being so 17.5 plastic dinosaurs to the pound it is at the moment. I'm really disappointed. I will reach parity, I think, around April time, and then it's abysmal to actually go over there and try and... I was just seeing an advert last night on the Underground talking about the John F. Kennedy Express train. There's an advert for it on the Underground train that goes to Heathrow, and it's talking about the fare will be $5, which it says that's about £2.50. I mean, that must be a really old... That must be at least 6 months old, that advert.
Oh, yeah. What about the music over there? Well,
it's a lot. The good news is there's lots of good American bands again, and they're all over the place. They're not just stuck on the coast, and they're not sort of all coming up through the main record companies. There's on the West Coast, there's bands like the Minutemen, who started off playing all their songs under a minute, but they've kind of expanded a bit now to do less than 2 minutes. Maybe they should call them the Minute and a Half Men. They're really good. They're really very, very good band. They are. I quite like them. I did a gig while I was over there with a band called the Del Fuegos.
Oh, I love the album.
Really good. Yeah, they're great live too. They're really good live, very soulful live.
Yeah.
I thought. I did a gig. I don't know if you've ever heard of a band called Black Flag.
Yes.
They're a hardcore band. Well, apparently the lead singer Henry now does poetry recitals, and the band. I did a gig with them, and they just played an instrumental kind of heavy metal jazz improvisation for an hour. It was really weird. Yeah, I went down a storm as well. This was in Los Angeles, in a right little dive called Al's Bar in Los Angeles, and that's how I saw those. But by far and away, on top of lots of other bands like True West and the Long Riders and people like that, my favourite of these new bands is a band called Replacements, who are from Minneapolis, the town that gave us... Prince? Weren't you saying he was a bit of a...
Don't get me into any more trouble.
Lovely little Prince.
I thought he was a Wally.
A Wally, he's not at all.
Well, no, I think he makes great music.
Yeah.
Really, really good music. But I just thought he overestimated his importance when he was at the BPI Awards the other week.
I certainly overestimated his height, didn't he? Well, this is a track from the Replacements album Let It Be, which is I actually bought a copy in America on I can't remember what label it's on, but I didn't think it was available in this country, but it is apparently now available on Demon Records.
Twin Tone.
This is their Twin Tone, yeah. This is their most recent album. There's 2 other albums, but this is from the album Let It Be. This is called Androgynous.
That guy's got a brilliant voice.
Yeah, it's good. Good ending as well, wasn't it?
That's the Replacements and...
from Minneapolis.
From Minneapolis. And androgynous.
Androgynous.
Androgynous. What did I say?
Janice. Androgynous.
Didn't.
I said it's like that for ages, but androgynous, yeah.
Androgynous. Let's be Pacific about
Yes, undoubtedly, yeah, okay.
So you came back with 50 albums?
Yep, 50 albums from America, smuggled them all in, yeah. Very pleased about that.
Because you're giving the impression now, you know, that you're a real sort of pop star jet setter.
Well, it's not true, though. I'm here with my bike. It's the only real way I've got to get around.
Did you hear some noise then? It's because I've got this wrong button on. We're in a different studio this evening, and the knobs are all quite
Pull yourself
different.
together, Janice. Pull yourself
But to prove that you've still sort of kept your roots and everything, you're doing this Jobs for Youth tour, aren't you?
Yeah, in conjunction with the Labour Party.
Tell us about it.
Well, it's really it's really a way of bringing the Labour Party's policies to the attention of young people. The last general election, more young people, more first-time voters voted for the Conservative Party than for the Labour Party, which is it's the first time this has happened for a long, long time. And I think that was personally because they hadn't been given the alternative, that there is an alternative to Margaret Thatcher's policies. And also I think a lot of young people...
because it was the wrong leader at the time?
No, I just think a lot of young people felt, you know, these politicians have got, you know, don't want any, you know, I don't want anything to do with these politicians. They don't care about me. They don't, you know, feel anything about me. So they just didn't bother to vote. The point is, you know, what politicians decide does affect young people. So I feel they should be encouraged to take part in the process. And we're talking about the next general election, if it's going to be 1988. We're talking about kids who are now 14 and 15 who might be listening to Wham or whatever. And we should start building towards that election now. And I think that the Labour Party, not necessarily the whole of the Labour Party, but as a whole, I think it does offer the best opportunities for young people, and for people in general, young people, old people, and it's about time they realise, the party themselves as well, realise how powerful youth vote can be.
There were photographs of you in the paper drinking tea with Mr. Kinnock. Was that the first time you'd met him? No,
I did a gig for the Labour Party at the Manchester Free Trade Hall, which was about a year ago now, and I met him very briefly there. And this was sort of like a press conference at the House of Commons where he'd just been to the Rock and Pop Awards the night before.
That's right.
And was going on about that. So I mean, there are people within the party who do realise how positive the young people's vote could be for them, but also the old guard, as we call them, who are trying to, you know, skirt around it.
Will Kinnock be there to lead them into the next election, do you think?
I think so, yeah. If he comes down off the fence on some issues, I do believe, yeah, he could be the next leader. And if we have to line up behind Neil Kinnock to beat Margaret Thatcher, then we have to line up behind Neil.